Hey everyone, Andy Rafael from eTeknix.com, and anyone who knows me knows that I use the Herman Miller Aeron Executive Chair. But for about half the price, you could have the ONYX Deluxe from AKRacing. Let's see how it does. It's so pretty.
The MSI GTX 1660 Super Gaming X, offering amazing performance at both 1080p and 1440p while keeping super cool and super quiet thanks to the patented Twin Frozer 7 thermal design. To learn more, click the link in the description below.
So starting by looking at the bottom of the chair, straight off we can see that we have the typical kind of 5-spoke design. Now it does actually come in this polished chrome, which is nice, but I do feel that it's going to get kind of dirty, a little bit scratched, and maybe even with fingerprints. But why you'd be handling this, I don't know. I mean, why am I stroking it? It does actually have the kind of typical 5 casters on here, which aren't specifically made for any kind of one surface, wood or laminate or carpet, but I've not actually seen any problems with this sliding on either wood or carpet. While we are down here, it is worth mentioning that there are 2 levers, one on the right hand side and also one on the left hand side. Now the left hand side works slightly differently to, I guess, your typical rocking motion. Normally you'd kind of push this up and it would allow you to go back to a certain point, and then you can lock it so that you can't go any further. Well, on this chair, by locking it, what it actually does is it allows you to kind of sit ever so slightly sort of reclined in that position anyway. As you can see, the actual chair itself is ever so slightly pivoted up, which is a really nice, comfortable kind of sitting position. Now on the right hand side is where you have the lever for the height adjustment. So this will actually enable the Class 4 piston to go up and down in height. Now it doesn't have a huge travel distance, but it's more than enough for the average user as well as those who are smaller or even slightly taller. Now speaking of the Class 4 piston, this can actually hold a weight of 150 kilograms or up to 330 pounds, which is pretty decent in the grand scheme of things. The only other adjustment that you really have on the chair is this kind of handbrake mechanism, which allows the chair to go back, according to AKRacing, up to 180 degrees. But I have actually found myself that it kind of feels like it's a little bit more than 180 degrees, which is perfect for those who nap in their chair. I mean, seriously though? Who does that? Not that I'm complaining. Now, moving up the chair, the only kind of real pieces of plastic on here are the bits that are covering your screws and obviously the handbrake mechanism, but also on the armrest. So we do have this kind of plastic on here, which I've got to admit, feels a little bit flimsy. It shakes a little bit, but to be honest, every gaming chair that I've looked at is exactly the same. Now, these are 4D armrests, which means that it does go sort of up and down. You can also push this backwards and forwards, as well as there's a little button just on the other side, which allows you to kind of slide it in and out, which is easier said than done when you're doing this one-handed. Also, the fourth part of it is the fact that you can put these in and out, which obviously allows you to suit your style depending on if you bow your elbows in or obviously out. Now, the one thing I don't like about these armrests is the fact that the chair itself is made out of leather, and these are actually made out of kind of a soft sponge, which, I don't know, it just kind of lets down the premium quality feel of the chair. I'd honestly prefer if this was even pleather or, of course, the real leather that is on the rest of this chair. To me, it's just a bit, I don't know, cheap. So the seat itself is actually kind of a combination of materials. So the front of it is made out of real leather, even round to sort of these side bolster bits. But as soon as you get round to kind of the main side and the back, this is actually made out of pleather or PU leather. Obviously, it doesn't need to be leather on the back because that's not the part that's going to be taking the extra kind of wear and tear. Overall, though, the build quality is absolutely amazing. We have a lot of really nice stitching on here, and if we actually look at the stitching, I haven't seen sort of any bits that are fraying, and I really like the contrast between the kind of black leather and the ever so slightly kind of grey stitching. It just looks really, really nice and adds a really nice premium feel to it. The other bit of the stitching that I really, really like is behind the lumbar support. So you can see that it has kind of this diamond pattern, which, I don't know, it's a little bit reminiscent of a jag. Also, by having the various kind of stitching on here, it may actually assist in breathability for them long gaming sessions. And yes, I did say gaming sessions. Now, talking about actually under the material, under this real leather, it does have cold cured foam, which is perfect for kind of durability and also keeping its shape. It does have a nice springiness to it, but it does bounce back pretty nicely and doesn't leave any kind of major creases. Now, keeping everything together, including keeping that cold cured foam where it needs to be, is the steel frame, which is extremely durable and runs all the way up the sides and also underneath. Now, it's also worth noting that it does come with a 10-year warranty on the frame and also is powder coated. Now, not for aesthetic reasons, it's actually to stop corrosion. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I don't like gaming chairs, but this doesn't look like your typical gaming chair. Instead of having kind of these huge bolsters that come up at the side, they're actually pretty well understated. And this also means that you're going to have huge room for your arse, which is great for, let's say, the huskier gentlemen and gentlewomen. It's also worth noting that after using this for quite some time, I have actually found it to be extremely comfortable, and you got to bear in mind, that's coming from a guy who sits in a mesh chair, the Herman Miller Aeron Executive. Now, when sitting in the chair, it does have this quite a low profile pillow, but even though it is low profile, I have actually found that when I'm sitting in it, it kind of makes the sort of top part of my back actually sit out a little bit too much, and I don't know, it's just not extremely comfortable. So the beauty of it is you can just not use it and have it like that. And personally, I think that just looks a little bit better as well. Like I say, like a jag. Also, by removing that cushion, it does actually mean that you can sit back that little bit more, which does give, I guess, a little bit more support to the back of your knees. I was finding that when using the kind of lumbar cushion in that area, it was just pushing my knees that little bit further forward, and after a prolonged usage, just wasn't the most comfortable experience that I've had. So removing that, definitely onto a winner. But that is just my personal opinion. I am a little bit taller than, I guess, the average person. Now, I can hear a lot of you out there saying, oh, leather, the problem with leather is as soon as you step into a car where it's been warm, it absolutely stinks. And my missus is exactly the same. She absolutely hates the smell of leather. But this one, I'm going to go in for the sniff, actually doesn't smell bad at all. Now, with this chair coming in slightly more expensive, it is all down to the leather. They do a cheaper version which comes in kind of full PU leather, or pleather, best name in the world. But what you actually get from the leather is a little bit more durability. So everything should last just that little bit longer. And talking about lasting, as I mentioned earlier, it comes with a 10-year warranty on the frame, but 5 years on the rest of it, which should be more than enough for your average gaming chair. I mean, office chair. What even is this? But obviously, talking about durability, there's nothing really that I can sort of say or do short of having this chair for about a year and then trying it out sort of over that year to show you what the durability is all about. I guess really you're going to have to trust me on this one after seeing, I guess, how these are made and what kind of goes into it, and knowing personally, because I have got leather in my car, how durable leather can actually be. And like I mentioned earlier, the fact that it springs back and just doesn't really leave any kind of creases and marks. The only things you really have to be careful of is buttons and things like that. If you're wearing things like jeans, you don't want it ripping into this lovely, lovely surface. The other cushion that the chair has is on the headrest, which is really nice. Admittedly, it does look a bit like an ant or some kind of praying mantis with the AKRacing logo branded into it. Now, the beauty of that, again, is it can be removed. Now, I kind of feel that it's a little bit too high up in the chair. Looking around it, I feel like maybe it could just kind of be like there. If it was there, it would be a lot better, because unless you're sitting up completely upright and straight in this chair, really your head's going to be kind of situated about here. Whereas I'm more of a lounger, so I'd prefer it just to maybe be a little bit more down, or have the flexibility to kind of stretch this out and put it more down to this level. But again, my personal preference. The only kind of other real downside to this is when you are using it for a prolonged kind of amount of time and then removing it, I don't know, just kind of feels like it's missing something. Luckily, it's still got the AKRacing branding on there, just in case you forget who makes your chair. So after using this for a couple of weeks, I've got to be honest, it's not a gaming chair. I mean, it's not bright, it's not bold, it's not ostentatious. Word of the day, but it just kind of doesn't really tick the boxes for a gaming chair, but I don't feel like it's actually trying to be. It is kind of a chair that could fit in anywhere, whether it be kind of a teenager's bedroom, or whether it's a home office, or even just a conventional office. It kind of fits in and just gives you that really premium kind of vibe to it, but also incorporates some of the features that we've known to love from AKRacing and gaming chairs in general. So what is the general kind of takeaway from this? Yes, it's expensive as hell in the grand scheme of things, but compared to my Herman Miller Aeron Executive, which comes in at £1,200 or $1,200, this is basically half price. And you can actually find AKRacing do a lot of deals from various different retailers. So I guarantee you, if you were to scour the internet right now, you would find this chair for a lot cheaper than what I've quoted in this video. And you've got to remember, you do get that extra premium quality from the real leather. So while I do like the material and I do like the fact that it is very comfortable, there are a few things that I don't like. I did say earlier, the kind of soft feel on here, it doesn't fit in with the rest of the chair. The real leather, it should have had something here. And the fact that these armrests just, I don't know, feel a little bit flimsy, but that's down to the plastic. Maybe things could be tightened up a little bit, or maybe AKRacing could take some of the feedback I've given them and maybe just tweak it a little bit. I'd expect it maybe on a cheaper gaming chair, but not one that costs this much. So there you have it, guys. I mean, is this a gaming chair? Is it not? Personally, I don't think it is. This could easily fit in any kind of office environment, but I guess still falls under that gaming-esque kind of vibe. Honestly speaking, if I didn't have my Herman Miller Aeron Executive, I would be looking at something like this. It just kind of ticks all the right boxes for me, apart from that one niggly little thing with the handles. But hopefully we might see another version at a later date that fixes on that. Let me know what you think in the comments section below, and I'm not the only one who really thinks this does look like a praying mantis, am I? If you like this video, you know exactly what to do, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.